So, we all know KSI, and since my last reaction video did well on the main channel, I thought, why not react to This Is How KSI Became a Boxer skill breakdown. It's quite a long video, so I'm going to try to avoid pausing it as much as I can. But thank you guys for the support on my last video. Hopefully this video can do just as well, and yeah, let's see how the man himself became a boxer.
This is KSI in his first fight.
A lot of progress.
And this is KSI in his last fight with temper.
Okay, I know I said I'm going to avoid pausing it, but that knockout was so clean. I was watching it live. Oh, beautiful. We don't get to see KSI's skill because he either knocks a guy out so quickly. Well, we got to see his skill in the last one, but not properly. It's either his opponents are running away from him or he knocks a guy out like nothing. Like no one's problem, so we don't actually get to see his full skill, but yeah.
How could this well-known video game kid become an elite boxer? To answer this question,
I don't know.
Let's analyze his development and fights.
Okay, Boardski.
At the beginning of his career, KSI couldn't even be called a boxer. He was at the level of an average street fighter, and his style reflected that. He had poor technique. With his hands lowered and jaw open, he couldn't even defend himself, and his only advantage was brawling. KSI's stance resembled Muhammad Ali's, but without the skills of Muhammad Ali.
Okay,
All he did
there's no way you just compare KSI to Muhammad Ali. That's crazy. JJ, inspiration to me, but that is mental.
Repeatedly throw weak jabs. You could barely call it punches. He simply tried to put his hand in the opponent's face and throw a right overhand when the opponent opened up. However, at the amateur level, most fighters use the jab in this way. Even McGregor, with a decade of martial arts experience under his belt, couldn't help but stroke Mayweather's face with weak jabs during their fight. The main problem for KSI was that sometimes he didn't even land his jab. He extended his arm and ate punches. But we know what he tried to do, to keep the distance.
The thing is, it's good to like eat it all. Obviously, if you can handle the punches, then it's fine. Because if you just handle a few, then give a nice jab. Simple, isn't it? But it's obviously not as simple.
Technique of keeping a distance with the front hand is one of the best defensive techniques in boxing, but its purpose is to keep distance. However, KSI's coach probably forgot to teach him this, because if the fight is already at close range, it's a fatal mistake and dangerous up to the point of a knockout. Any more or less experienced fighter could have punched KSI, but Weller didn't understand what to do even more than him. While KSI was trying to scare the opponent away with his hand, Weller was just trying to catch up with him, and like a wild man, tried to hit the air harder, being a mile away from the opponent. In fact, KSI's jab both helped him and hindered him. Objectively, this is a problem, and a boxer like Jake Paul would have knocked him out for such a mistake. The fight...
Not at that time. All I'm saying is Jake Paul at that time, no. Maybe now, but it's like saying old KSI would. No, it's like saying new KSI would beat old Jake Paul. It's obvious, isn't it? I mean, it's obvious. KSI will beat Jake Paul anyway, but let's leave that for maybe end of the video.
Fight between KSI and Weller was similar to KSI's fight against Logan Paul, but on the contrary, KSI's taller and longer-armed opponent,
the way he was looking at him there, crazy,
was able to take advantage of him. Objectively speaking, I believe KSI lost the fight, and I can explain why. The fighter's anthropometric data, such as height and reach, play a crucial role in determining the appropriate distance for a fight. To put it simply, for a taller fighter, it is advantageous to maintain distance and focus on straight punches, while for a shorter fighter, it is more effective to work at close range. Even though he had learned to hold a block, which is a significant improvement, the tactics that worked against Weller were not effective against Paul. You can't keep your distance when your reach is much shorter than your opponent's, and you don't need to keep your distance if you are shorter. In fact, KSI fought as if he was taller than Paul. Maybe he feels himself above everyone sometimes.
He thinks he's 6 foot, so... No.
But you can't ignore reality. In the style of Weller, KSI just ran into Logan's jabs and straights. It's amazing how important it can be just to possess a jab. It's not some rare technique. In fact, it's the basis of boxing. 1-2 combos and jabs. But until you are able to use complex combinations, this is the only salvation. But of course, there are exceptions like the Diaz brothers, who in principle rely on straight punches for 90% of their combinations. But let's get back to the fight. The speed of Logan's attacks became an
MMA is a
important
crazy
factor.
sport, by the way.
He is
I would
much
never do that
faster
or
than
watch it.
KSI. As McGregor said, timing beats speed and precision beats power. But KSI had nothing of that at the time. Logan was already just mocking KSI because styles make fights, and it became clear to Logan that KSI was not ready for his style. Logan was able to avoid KSI's short arms by tilting his head slightly and immediately counterattacking.
Okay, he is violent.
So what do you believe was the main issue in the fight? For those who watched the video
I mean, it was
closely,
still a draw anyway.
it may be clear. The next problem was the rhythm and pace of the fight, which I previously mentioned in reference to the Weller fight. Logan was able to dictate the pace of the fight. He repeatedly punished KSI for being at the wrong distance. It took KSI a couple of rounds to figure out how to shorten the distance, and the fact that he actually needed to do it in order to have a chance of winning. At these moments, we can see how good fighters fight IQ. Despite losing the fight, KSI understood how to potentially win. He attempted to make lateral movements and even used the Tyson's pendulum technique. He recognized the need to engage in close-range brawl. Due to these efforts, he was able to win some rounds, and the fight became an intense...
JJ just eats the punches up like they're nothing. He just takes one and just keeps going. It's crazy. Even at this level, at this point, he wasn't as skilled as he is now, and he was still eating up punches. It's crazy to me.
Battle with no room for technicalities. So in this fight, JJ showed that he can adapt and demonstrate his fighting IQ. He was able to identify all his technical problems, and I was eager to see how he would fix them in the second fight. In the second fight, KSI made noticeable changes to his movements, becoming more like a professional boxer. His block was higher, a decision made to counter Logan's jabs. KSI also fully built a strategy on the clinch and close range, abandoning his habits of jabs and outstretched arms from his first fight. Instead, he used a jab to the body to enter the close range and develop attacks there. KSI leaned away from Paul's jabs and flew into him, but Paul soon began to stop his jab with a hook, which prevented KSI from using his technique effectively and made him hitting air again. To be honest, KSI could not figure out how to deal with Paul's longer reach and stronger jab. All of their fights were essentially a battle for control of the jab, and the winner was the one who was able to use it better and neutralize the opponent's jab. KSI tried to do everything. He used the clinch to short the distance. He even tried to tilt almost to the floor with overhand counterattacks. However, this strategy ultimately led to a brawl rather than a technical boxing match. It's interesting to note that in terms of exchanges, this highlights KSI's strengths as a fighter, but also emphasizes the importance of using them wisely and effectively in order to win. Overall, while KSI did more damage in this fight,
that is a mad freeze frame right there.
He still lost from a purely boxing perspective in both fights against Paul. The main reason was that he relied too much on his overhand, which led him to get tired and not hitting as often.
True, to be fair, because if you're always hitting like that, and hitting like that, you're going to get tired eventually. Especially if it's with power as well, and it's continuously. Well, obviously not continuously, but yeah, like keep doing it every like 2 minutes or every 20 seconds or something. It's going to be tiring, obviously. So that'll get you gassed, and then, yeah, it's just hard. Boxing is a difficult sport, a tough sport. You need a lot of stamina for boxing. It doesn't look like it, but you do.
Open. His arms were swinging to the sides. This is what turned him...
Oh yeah, and that's what people called him, the windmill. That's where that meme came from.
Back from a good fighter into an amateur. And this is the last of the big mistakes that he has left to fix. After that, he had 2 fights in one evening.
Yeah,
but the level...
This is where it gets better. 2 in 1. 2 fights
the
in one
opponents
night.
Was so shameful that all we saw...
The opponents were terrible, but JJ still did improve. But that's what I'm saying. We didn't get to see his proper skill because he didn't bring us proper opponents, and they were just running away from him. So
was that KSI became lighter on his feet, faster, and had a better shape. And we also saw the second guy got
yeah, Pineda's the GOAT, fam. Pineda's actually a legend. He's actually such a sick fighter. See, KSI's so good. He just made Pineda, the GOAT, look deadly. Like, no, he made the GOAT look bad because KSI's just on a different level, I guess. But Pineda is the GOAT.
Everyone around with his whining. However, it's worth noting that KSI began to use his hook in a new way. It became a real weapon as demonstrated in the fight with Temper. The first thing that stood out in this fight was KSI's speed. He used bouncing to make his attacks more unpredictable. This helped him set the pace of the fight immediately.
His bouncing was crazy there, honestly.
Transformed from someone who was like Muhammad Ali without the skills to someone who has learned at least some of Muhammad Ali's techniques.
Okay, now fair enough for that one, but still mad.
KSI has completely changed his approach to the jab. Now there is more variety and deception. He understands the importance of distance and anthropometry. He has stopped making senseless brawls, waving his arms less and less. He now imposes his own pace on his opponents. Everything has become much better.
Can I just say, everyone thought he was going to lose to Temper as well. But all I'm saying, what he did proved them wrong, as he always does.
KSI had a huge potential, and it's great to see him correct his mistake.
Yo, that knockout was clean. I was watching it. It was beautiful. Oh my days, yo, that knockout gets me gassed. Hold on. 1-2. Oh, it was so clean. Oh, yo, it was beautiful, honestly.
The recent knockout, performed in the style of Muhammad Ali, was the peak of KSI's
He just walks off like it did nothing.
career. In this knockout, KSI used deception on the jab, followed by a straight punch instead of an overhand swing. Furthermore, KSI didn't put force into a right blow as he usually does, but instead made a step with his punch and knocked out with a left hook. This combination of moves changes KSI's approach and makes him a much smarter and more diverse fighter. In conclusion, KSI has gone from having a poor fighting style and not understanding what to do to becoming a skilled and elite boxer. KSI's determination and hard work have helped him achieve this and should not be underestimated or disrespected.
Yeah. Put some respect on his name. The man, the myth, the legend. Knowledge, strength, integrity, KSI. So yeah, that was me reacting to This Is How KSI Became a Boxer, skill breakdown by Boxing Science. Go sub to them. They're going to be in my description as well. Obviously, go sub to them. Go sub to this guy. Go leave a like on his channel. Good video, good breakdown. It was good, to be fair. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want more videos like this, comment down below how you found this video and what you liked about it and maybe what I should improve on it. And yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.